Have you ever thought about taking up the sport of metal detecting, but weren't sure how to get started? Or maybe you already metal detect and have thought about joining a club, but couldn't find information for clubs in your area. Or perhaps you want to encourage your children or grandchildren to get outside and off their computers to enjoy the great outdoors. Regardless of the reason, joining a metal detecting club can teach you proper detecting etiquette, spend time with like-minded people, involve your whole family in the sport, and mentor the next generation who are the future of metal detecting. Going to an event is another way to meet other detectorists in your area, as well as enjoy the camaraderie of fellow detectorists, seeing in person the latest technology of machines and accessories available, detecting contests and prizes. Thank you for joining us tonight to discuss the benefits of joining a metal detecting club and the future of metal detecting. Our guests tonight are Mark Branton of the Michigan Treasure Hunters, Wroblewski of Michigan Metal Detectives, and Tom Holliday of Michigan Metal Detecting. Please grab your beverage of choice and sit back and enjoy the show. Please be mindful of your comments, as this is a family-friendly show. The show starts in a minute. Welcome to Diggin with Deej. How is everybody? Let me scroll back in the chat and see who's here. 17 in the house to start. Way to go. Hello, Marlon. Mayor Videos. Welcome, one of my moderators. Drew Digger. Sounds German to me. Welcome. Gary's Metal Detecting. Welcome. Practical Ken. Welcome back, Ken. Homestead Hunter. Rick. Welcome. And Rick said, Deej, look up Ohio Metal Detecting Event on Facebook. I don't have Facebook. If you can't find it, let me know. I have an email for the guide to enter. I'm thinking about hunting it. Okay, I'll remember that, Rick. PA Relic Hunters. Is this David? Because there's 3 of yous, right? Let's see. RNZ247, welcome. Jeff's Obsessions, welcome back. Let's see. Am I missing anybody? I'm still scrolling. Barnsley Magneteers. And they are across the pond. Frederick Romano. Welcome back. There's Barnsley Magneteers. Cynthia Swearingen, another moderator. Welcome, Cynthia. Welcome back. Let's see. Still scrolling. 18 in my house. Amethyst, welcome back. The Wanderers, welcome. Lisa P, welcome back. Let's see. Leeds Magneteers, welcome. Team Clambake, Bean and her hubby, welcome. Let's see. Future Bleeps, welcome back. Dirt Diggers UK, Scott and Kimmy from across the pond, welcome back. Mark the Berg Hunter, welcome. Just a Swingin', welcome. Still scrolling. Banshee Mining. Show it. There we go. Welcome. 21 in my house. Woo! Damon Jacobs. Woo! Welcome back, Damon. Let's see if I can get this right. Adirondack Park Paranormal Society, right? APPS. Let's see, who else is in my chat? Still scrolling, trying to catch up here. Greyhound Duo, welcome. Welcome to Diggin with Deej. I think I'm caught up. So how was everybody's week? How are you faring the storms that went through the United States? This is one time they did not hit Michigan, but we did get some really cold temperatures. So next on my list will be my usual All-Star Treasure Hunters injury and illness list. Come on, comments. Keep up. Squirrels Magnet Fishing, welcome. And I just had Everything Jump. Everything Treasure, welcome. Yeah, Damon says, hello, welcome from the frozen tundra. Squirrels Magnet Fishing, bring him up. Oh, Marlon is at the dentist with Aurora. Okay. So on this list, the first one we're going to say is Audra, Jersey History Hunter, is under the weather. So she's taking this week off with the live stream. So no JHH tonight, folks, at 7. Uncle Al, oldies and goodies, is still in the hospital. I haven't heard anything recently from him. Susie Q96 seems to be faring pretty good right now. She's waiting for her eye surgery, which has been scheduled. Jeremy's mom, his family's recovering from COVID still. His mom's recent recovery after surgery and COVID. And he may not make it tonight. He thinks his mother's water heater under the house burst. So he's over there waiting for a plumber. Chris Mike of Treasure Troll, Michigan is recovering from knee surgery. I think he goes back to work the end of the month. History Seekers Kelly was transported to emergency last week. She's home now and they have an appointment to see a specialist. Let's see. My friend Todd of the Sandy and Toddcast on Facebook is recovering from surgery, but they did have a podcast last weekend. Let's see. Matthew Tomani's fighting cancer, but he has gotten some relief for the pain. Shar Relic Hunting South Texas seems to be feeling better. I noticed a new video. Brandon and his family of Adventure Archaeology is dealing with COVID right now, the whole family. Pull Tab Pam is going through new cancer treatment, so keep her in your thoughts as well. Chris Ward and Tom Holliday who are the founders of the club I belong to, Michigan Metal Detecting. Tom is in the hospital. This is a diehard treasure hunter, let me tell you. Diehard metal detectorist. He is still going to be a guest tonight. So keep him in your thoughts while he's in the hospital. And Chris Ward is recovering from surgery. So that's our treasure hunters illness list. We lost, as of the end of December, misplaced Uper girl Amy Smith. We just lost last week Shotgun Wayne Stotler of Stealth Diggers. History Hound Ben of History Hound Detecting just lost his Uncle Bob. And somebody I follow on YouTube because I am a gardener, M.I. Gardner, Luke, lost his grandfather last week. So, and please keep my dear friend Karen, Metal Pirate Girl, in your thoughts and prayers. She is working the COVID tracing in her area, which is exhausting as the Rona is going crazy. Karen has a state-of-the-art bird cam on YouTube. Perfect to enjoy with your morning coffee or a meal. Great stress reliever. So if you get a chance, go over to Metal Pirate Girl. Let her know Deej sent you. Let's see if anybody new's in the chat. Metal Detecting with Randy. Randy and I have dug together. Welcome, Randy. Welcome back. Starry's Lost and Found. Steve, welcome back. Apps Variety Channel. Welcome. Welcome back. Rocky Mountain Life Prospecting. Whoa, 32 in my house. Woohoo. Thank you so much. Flash in your pan, Ed. Welcome. And thank you for being a moderator. Who else? I said Mark DeBerg Hunter. If I miss you, please do not be offended. I'm trying to do this by myself. So, for those of you just getting in, Cynthia says prayers for Simon of the Weedy Boys and his wife Phyllis. Okay. Let me write that down, otherwise I will forget. Okay. Got it. All right. So, let me bring up our guests for the show. We have Mark Branton, Tom Holliday, and Ray Wroblewski. Welcome, guys. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yeah. Yep. Hello. Hello.
Good. Good. I'm glad. So how's everybody doing?
Well,
We're just hanging in there.
Yeah. This is Ray's first time being interviewed on YouTube.
It sure is.
Okay.
Yep.
Is it new for you guys too?
No.
No? I think Mark's been on YouTube before with straight up metal detecting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take turns asking you guys questions, and after you answer it, then the other guys can chime in if they want, okay?
Yeah.
So first question goes to Mark. How long have you been metal detecting? Mark?
Mark might be on mute.
Mark, are you on mute? I can't hear you.
He must not have hit the mic.
I can't hear you. Let's see. Let me see if I can unmute it for you. Can't unmute your guest. Their mic isn't connected. Mark, can you go out and come back in?
He can't hear you. You might have to message him.
Yeah, let me do that. It wouldn't be YouTube if there wasn't a glitch or two, right? Okay.
I think Mark's been metal detecting for like 147 years, right, Mark?
That's right.
Oh, see, now you can hear me.
Can you hear me, Mark?
Mark, you need to tap your mic. There you go.
Can I hear you now? Talk to me.
I don't mean tap your mic. I mean unmute your mic.
Okay.
Okay, good. I've got.
Can you hear me now?
Hey,
Yeah.
Can you hear?
Okay.
Okay.
There you go.
Let me
Sorry.
go back to my questions. Mark, how long have you been metal detecting?
I just can't hear Deej.
You can't hear me.
No, he needs to unmute the mic. The mic symbol on your screen. If it's red with a slash through it.
Right. No, I know. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so once you do that, you should be able to hear me.
Still can't hear her?
Nope.
Okay, Mark, why don't you go out and come back in?
Can you hear me, Tom?
Yeah, she said you need to leave the chat and then come back in.
Okay.
All right.
I wonder why I can't hear him. That's weird. I can hear him, but I wonder why he can't hear me.
It's his mic. His mic is muted.
Oh, okay. Ray, who or what inspired you to start metal detecting?
Ooh, that's a good question. As a kid, I had a neighborhood friend that I grew up with, and we'd go out playing sports. We'd hit the local ball field, playing soccer, baseball. And one day we came home, and his dad was downstairs, and he had a pile of just rusty stuff on his pool table. And I was digging through it, and I saw this old, not old, but it was like a heads or tails token that, at the beginning of a sports game, you'd call heads or tails. And I was like, I was so intrigued by what this was because I was in the sports when I was younger. And, I got to talking to his dad. I'm like, where did you get this or where'd you find this? And he said, I found it metal detecting. And I'm like, what the heck is metal detecting, right? I was probably I think I was about 11 years old. And he pulls out his old, at the time it was new, a Garrett. And they called it the Green Monster. I don't know what it was. I can't remember because I was a kid. But it almost looked like a GTI 2500 or something. But it was an old clunky Garrett. And I was just so floored of the stuff that he found with this thing called metal detecting. So I was so intrigued. He took me out back in his backyard and he showed me how it worked. And, we didn't find much. We found maybe a dime or so. But I went home that day and I told my dad what my friend's dad had and what he was finding with it. And my dad could tell how excited I was about this thing called metal detecting. And that Christmas, my dad actually ended up getting me a metal detector for Christmas. And that day, I went out in their front yard, and their home was probably built in the 1950s. It wasn't too old. But that day, I went out in their front yard, and the ground wasn't too frozen yet. And I ended up digging a couple mercury dimes. And at the time, I didn't know what a mercury dime was. But it came out the ground shiny, and I was just so floored. I'm like, it didn't look like a normal dime. It didn't look like a Roosevelt dime. But being a kid and see this old dime from maybe the 1940s, it just floored me. Mm-hmm. And then it got me into researching. I'm like, how did this old coin come out the ground? Out of my parents' yard. Come to find out that their neighbor's house was the old guest house to the farmhouse in the back of them. So,
wow, I
was just so floored. If I could find this stuff in my parents' yard, what else is in this world?
Yeah.
And that got me excited. So then I went metal detect in my local park. And then from there, I found, my first walking liberty. And it just blew up from there. I was just amazed by all this stuff. And just the history and researching, especially local history. I love the local history of, metal detecting myself. Just stuff from Detroit, stuff from Mount Clemens. Because I'm from the east side. So I like the Detroit stuff. I like the Mount Clemens stuff. I love St. Clair Shore stuff. So that's I guess my major influence, was my buddy's. His name was Tom, his dad, which ended up passing away maybe about 10 years ago of cancer. And he was a welder. He welded doom buggies or sandbars, and he actually made me my first spade. This thing is awesome. I still use it to this day. It's a spade made out of a shovel, but he made it super heavy duty, cannot bend, and he put serrations in it. And yeah, he was definitely my inspiration to this day.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Cool.
So, Tom, you want to answer the same question, please?
Yeah, I mean, the thing was my older brother and my younger brother, Doug and Tim, they were into metal detecting, a few years before I even got into it. But they would go out and venture out in all the time, but the two of them. And I wanted to spend time with my brothers. I never get to see them. I mean, everybody's got family and whatever, and they were always off doing, metal detecting. So I asked if I could, tag along and just hang out and just, well, Tim ended up lending me it was an E-Track at the time. And I used that. And so that was the main reason to hang out with my brothers. But I got so attached and addicted to it that I went overboard with it. I was out every day from sun up till dark, and just these different locations and whatnot, and learning the machine and whatnot. And that's the same machine I still have to this day and use to this day as that E-Track. Because I ended up buying it from Tim, and Tim ended up buying it from my older brother Doug, who mastered it, and he went on to a CTX, and regrets selling it to Tim because it was just a silver. It was it was just a monster,
Right.
So anyway, that's what got me into it.
Mark, what about you? What got you into metal detecting?
Years ago, 1975, I went to the Livonia Mall, which is now tore down, and Michigan Treasure Hunters had a show there. And I was hooked after that because I collected coins, number one. And I took a gander at everybody's display, and I said, this is me, And from there on, it was,
Right.
Mark, how many years have you been metal detecting?
Probably from 1979 to current.
What about you, Tom?
Almost 7 years.
And what about you, Ray? Ray, can you hear me? Oh no, Ray, are you froze? I think you froze up, Ray.
He is froze. His screen's froze.
No.
Like he's not blinking.
Oh, he's gonna go out and come back in too.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see. Let me get another question here.
Okay.
Okay, guys, what prompted you to start a metal detecting club?
Well, you know what? I never started our club.
You never started a club.
The club is 48 years old. And it was Al Temple from Livonia that actually started this club.
Right.
And he had an archery shop in Plymouth, Michigan. And he sold metal detectors on the side. And the club would meet at his business. And then from there, it grew. Okay.
So are you currently president of the club?
I am for one more month.
For one more month?
Yeah, I'm stepping down. I've 9 years.
Enough?
9 years you've been a president? Wow.
Yeah, longest in Michigan Treasure Hunters history.
That's awesome, Mark.
Yeah.
That's quite an accomplishment.
Awesome.
Tom?
How many members do you have now, Mark?
Well, we had 160 families at one point. I would venture to say maybe 125 families. Now, we're not talking members. We're talking families.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty
because
impressive.
You buy a membership, your whole family's inclusive,
Yeah, that's impressive.
And, we've got a lot of benefits. Your dues usually return 300%.
Yeah.
When you're playing. Tom, you could attest to this. You used to get a lot of these things.
Yeah.
And
we can't see it. We can't see it.
Oh, you can't.
This. Hold it up.
Oh,
nope.
Find of the month. Yeah.
Find of the month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, the 1 year I got find of the year on 2 categories.
Something I've never gotten. Deej, we used to get these too. Oh, I'm sorry. Try to.
Put it up in front of your face.
Back it up by your face.
Put it up by your face. Up high by your face.
Okay.
There you go.
Whoa, look at that.
Yeah, but everybody opted for the encased.
First place in jewelry.
Yes, but everybody opted for everybody opted for the encased Ben Franklin app in place.
Okay,
You know,
that's cool.
That's
yeah.
cool.
And we
Very
also
cool.
have name tags that we sell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if you're wearing it at the club meeting and we have a draw, you get 50 cents. If you're not, and they draw your number, you
A silver 50 cents.
silver.
A 50 cent,
Yeah.
a silver 50-cent piece.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
a Ben Franklin or
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a cool club.
You know,
Okay, let me talk. Let's see. Put that in there. Tom, you're
Yeah.
the founder of your club.
Well, kind of.
You and Chris, or just you?
Well, kind of. It's Jeremy Miller started MMD years and years ago.
Okay.
And there was maybe, I don't know, 100, 150 members. And, you know, we had some picnics, just us and whatever. And it was, you know, it was a good time. And that's when I first got into metal detecting. I found Michigan Metal Detecting, with Jeremy Miller was the administrator. But with his busy schedule and his work schedule, he asked if I wanted to take over the group. And I was floored. I was like, yeah, I'd love to. And now we're almost 6,000 strong. A lot of members, and it's growing every day. But it became literally a full-time job. I brought Chris in maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Him and his wife are both administrators, and they're huge help to the group. You know, all the picnics and seated hunts we have, you know, that's Chris. You know, we work side by side, but the grunt of it is Chris, and he, you know, all the merchandise. You know, Laura Schuler is the one that makes all of our merchandise, and Chris Ward and her distribute it. You know, so again, it's, you know, so we've gotten, you know, it's gotten to the point where it's, you know, it's a lot, you know,
right.
And I do what I can do, and you know, Chris and Laura do a grunt of it, and you know, Laura, she's administrator of other websites, and she still helps us out. And you know, Matthew Collins, he's a, you know, big help for us too. So you know, just, you know, that's kind of where it went. And now like I said, we're going on 6,000 members. Wow. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a lot. You know,
that's a lot.
It is a lot. And they're all active members too, which is crazy. You know, everybody's, you know, posting and so it, you know, there's a lot. It's a lot of work to, you know, to you know, kind of screen through what's going on, making sure there's no drama or not. And there hasn't been, knock on wood.
Right.
So anyway, yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's a fun thing. And we have picnics usually in the fall, and, you know, we usually have 200-300 people out at our picnics.
Yeah.
Which is, again, a lot of people. And our seated hunts that we do in the spring. Now with the COVID, we haven't had any picnics yet. We took a couple years off. We did do a seated hunt last spring.
Yeah.
And we'll be doing one, I'm sure, this spring if everything goes okay. And those are a big success too. We put a lot of silver in the ground, you know, and so everybody, and we have prizes and raffles and all kinds of stuff. So, you know, it's a fun gig.
Yeah. Well, the first club, excuse me, that my grandson and I went to was Michigan Metal Detecting, and that's where you and I first met.
That's right.
And it's all, we have families that are members. We have handicapped people that are members that are out there detecting with their wheelchairs or whatever devices they need.
Yep.
I mean, so,
and we try to take care of it.
Branton, Mark, you have handicapped people that are members of your club as well.
Right.
I really think some of our YouTubers who are handicapped have really inspired people.
Yeah.
To let them know that they don't have quite as many limitations maybe as they thought they did.
That's right. And or think of ways of doing it that they never thought of doing. Yeah.
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 Hey, John.
Yes.
What about the fella? I can't think.
I hear Ray.
But his name's Jim.
Hold on a minute.
He was
there he is. Can you hear me?
Sorry, my internet went down on my computer, and I'm now on my phone. So
Okay, that's okay.
So am I.
sorry.
Tom,
Okay.
Yes, Mark. Sorry.
it was hearing impaired.
Oh, well, he's passed on now, but it was James Lloyd, really
Yeah.
good friend of mine, and he was deaf, and
Yeah.
he was. I've metal detected with him many times.
Yes.
But he was, one of the nicest guys in the world, But he figured it out. He figured out a way he could detect deaf and still find, which I could never figure it out how he did it, but he did it,
See, now I think that's one thing that I want to recommend to First Texas. Is there a way you can have a buzz,
Well, that's
on
right.
the detector itself?
What he did is he was first using earphones and turned all the way up, and he would feel the vibration of the.
Okay.
Well, then he got a device that actually it blinked. Okay.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And when the light stayed on, he was over the target.
Okay.
Now he couldn't decipher depth or whatever, obviously, but it let him know when he was over a target. And he used that for a little bit, then decided he didn't really care for it and went back to the headphones again. So, yeah.
Right. So, okay, let's talk to Ray for a bit. Hey, let's see. Ray or the other two, Ray, Mark, or Tom? Ray's the only one I know of, but have you ever had a YouTube channel or ever thought of starting one?
I thought about it. I mean, I have videos on YouTube, but I don't have a YouTube channel. I never did. I've had a lot of people ask me to do a YouTube channel. I'm in the process of, and I've been, writing a book. Pretty much done with it. Just got to kind of put it all together. But a bunch of techniques and tricks of, metal detecting, kind of thinking outside the box, no matter where you live. And which is kind of like how I've, done my whole career so far. Metal detecting was thinking outside the box,
right?
Going to places that people wouldn't normally think there would be anything.
That's what I try to do too. Yep.
And I've done extremely well, So.
Oh, you have.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Mark, what about you?
I've never had any thoughts like that. I just like to cheerlead and try to get more people involved. And that's about it. I mean, I don't have any reason to make a book or to have a channel because it would take up too much of my time right now,
Right. And what about you, Ray?
Believe it or not, Michigan Metal Detectives started off as a YouTube channel. I started in 2013, and I made some videos, had a couple up, and the funny thing is, I was contacted by some lawyers saying that I was using music that was not licensed. So I was sent a cease and desist. Was told to take down all my videos, and this was, like I said, this is like 2013 when I was pretty fresh with YouTube and I didn't know much about it and like copyright laws and stuff. So I actually ended up getting sued. I had to pay
I'm sorry, Deej, can you put me in the back room for a second?
Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I ended up having to pay some money to the person that I took the music from. I borrowed for the back of my video, and after that, I decided it took the air out of me. Like I didn't want, like I wanted to become. I did it for YouTube, right? I wanted to become. I wanted to make videos.
Right.
And from there, I was like, I don't want to get in trouble anymore. So I took down the YouTube. I took down my channel, and I ended up wanting to do events because I still wanted to do something with metal detecting. And I started doing events. And from there, I became an authorized dealer, and it just branched off from there, doing events through that. And I'm still thinking about, doing the YouTube channel again. But like Mark was saying, it takes up a lot of time. Like right now, I spend a lot of time just planning a lot of events and stuff like that.
Well, Deej can
every video I spend hours editing. Some videos I get it right the first time, and I don't have to do much except put all the clips together. But it still takes 2 to 3 hours to edit, upload, design a thumbnail, design your description, design your tags. So it's a good 3 hours every video, and live streams, it might be a day, because I have been making customized intros like the one we had before this show. So hi, weird guy in park. So how many we have? Whoa, 37 in the house. Thank you so much, everybody. If I have missed you in the chat, please do not be offended. It's not intentional. Jeremy, my co-host, they had bad weather down south, and his mother's water heater burst under the house, and he is waiting on a plumber to get there. And his mom is at home recently from the hospital in COVID. So bear with me. It's just me tonight. Hi, Diggin. Let's see. So, Tom and Mark, what are the benefits of joining both your clubs?
Well, we have.
Tom's not in the chat, but we'll ask Tom when he comes back.
But we've got a lot of things to encourage people to detect. We have our own seated hunt. Ray can attest to that because Ray has participated. It's a $4 fee. We bury nearly $10 every month, and for $4 to get 2-3 pieces of silver, you've made your money back. And if you find the token, you get a Morgan dollar. But the thing is, you got to put that hunt on the following month.
Right.
So that's one of the benefits. Then we've got what we call, it's our crown jewel. It's called the Can-Am hunt, where we're our sister club in Chatham, Ontario. Yeah, they come across. They're coming across here this year if they can get across from the border, and we host them, and then the next year they'll host us. So there's
okay. Can you hear me, Ray?
Yeah, my internet just went back up, so I'm back on the laptop. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's cool. That's all right. That's all right. I'm just trying to keep them.
Like the things that I've told you. We have 4 categories. We have jewelry. We've got relic, coin, and token, and we award a 50-cent encased piece every month. So.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, and at the end of the year, we have.
It's an uncirculated Ben Franklin, correct?
Right. Yeah. And Tom, you won the find of the year at one point, right?
Twice one year, yeah.
Yeah.
I got coin and I got relic.
I know I've never.
I dug that 1874 U.S. officer scabbard plate from the American Indian War. Out in Monroe, and that was the eagle plate that I dug, and I got relic on that. And then I dug a 1829 cap bus dime, and I had to have call my brothers and say what the heck did I just dig?
I've done the same thing.
I used to drive my brother Doug nuts because I would dig large cents and V nickels and shield nickel and like, what is this? What is this? And he's like, oh, and finally he just quit answering the phone. Yeah.
I dug my first.
But I dug a cap bus dime at a permission. Absolutely gorgeous, like it was dropped yesterday. And then a week later, and I was all excited because I was going to enter that in the find of the month, at Michigan Treasure Hunters. And a week later, I went to another permission and I dug a cap bust half. And,
oh my goodness!
Yeah, and that's what I won the find of the year with coin with. But it was an 1831 cap bust half.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So I'm going to ask you the question while you were with the nurse. Okay, let's see. The same question I asked Mark. What does your club have to offer for new membership?
Oh,
what can you offer people?
A plethora of information. Any questions, any concerns, anything, they'll get more than enough information from. Right. Everybody wants to help. So, And that there's no smart Alex. There's no. It's just everybody, because we've all been there. We've all started some point,
Right.
And we know what it's like to have to learn your machine and not know where to dig and what. So
Right.
information, and then there's meeting people. You meet people and you end up hunting with them and become good. I mean, so you create friends, and where you have that in common, and that's huge. So, and then there's activity that we have. Like I said, we have the seated hunts in the springtime. We have the great big picnic and whatnot. And the thing, I think what everybody wants is something to look forward to, especially after this COVID thing. It's important, and even if it's meeting somebody to go hunt or just go hunt by yourself, and you're just waiting for that warmer weather to come, it's something to look forward to. So that's I think that's the biggest thing we have to offer for newbies is something to look forward to, and that's that's kind of that's
Right.
that's what we can do.
Yeah, the camaraderie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah, teaching ethics and whatnot.
Right. I want to touch on that next.
Yeah.
Ray, Tom, and Mark. I'm going to ask Ray first. Do you convey the metal detectorist code of ethics as you connect with beginners and experienced detectorists when they come to you for advice?
Yes, most definitely. That's
For
probably
sure.
the most important thing. Since I am an authorized dealer, it's my job and duty to make sure the people that I'm selling metal detectors to or equipment that they know how to properly use it and how to properly dig holes, and because if they are not doing it correctly, we're all going to be out of a job, like not job, but like being out of metal detecting. Nobody's going to let us back in.
Right.
It's happening in other states where they are banning metal detecting faster than you can blink, because people are going and just tearing things up, and they're not. What I did with Michigan metal detecting a couple years ago is Chris Ward and I went out and he videotaped me, and I showed him how to dig a proper plug and how to search around for your target and how to put everything back the way it should be, which just takes seconds. Okay.
Right.
And it's an easy thing to do. And when you leave, it's like you weren't even there. Right. So, that's what I did to help, because at that time we were having a lot of people saying, "Oh, I went out to this park and there were plugs everywhere, and it was tore up and this and that, and shame on you." And it was just, it seemed like it went on for months that people were complaining. So I put the video up, and I think I helped a lot of people, even veterans. I've never dug a plug like that. I need to try that. It's simple. It's easy. Having the proper digging tools is huge. You got the T-handle digger shovels like we use, which are great because they make a nice plug, and that's important. You want to hinge that grass up, but still have the roots intact with the grass, and then you can dig down. And if your target happens to be like 3 inches on each side, you can get in with your shovel and without disturbing any more of the top
your hand
grass,
digger,
and you can tunnel a foot if you had to, and then just return everything back and put the plug back in and sweep, clean it up. So, digging a plug is huge. Leaving garbage on the ground is not a good, that's not
or
what
putting
you want to do.
Putting the trash back in your hole that you detected, that you don't want.
Yeah. I've come across that a lot. I'll be detecting and finding.
I've gone
and then not even really looking down the ground.
I've gone to several hunts that I'd accidentally swing over the edge of somebody else's plug.
Yeah.
And there was still a signal in there. So I thought they missed something. I opened it up and the iron or whatever was in there is in there. And it's like, and I'm not shy. I said, whoever is putting their junk back in the hole, it goes in your bag.
That's right. That's
that's enough.
I've detected, I've done the exact same thing, but other times I've gone over where I'm not even really looking at the ground. I'm kind of just like looking around, but moving real slow and get a good signal. I look down and I'm right on top of a plug, and I've gone in there and pulled, Mercs and barbers out that
Yep.
they'll miss, and it's like, oh, cool, thank you,
It takes time. It takes patience. You have to slow down.
Well, yeah, that's right. You got to go. You just got to slow it down.
Okay, we're going to touch on that subject a little more later.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Ray, how do you view the term ambassador to the hobby?
A privilege for sure. It's an honor. A lot of people, they trust my judgment, when they come to me asking about what kind of equipment they want. And first and foremost, I'm a metal detectorist. I'm not a businessman. I'm not here to sell a million metal detectors. I don't, and I'm here to make friendships. I'm here to help out the best I can. I'm here to give, just give them my best idea, or like, so when somebody comes to me with, wanting a machine, you need to find out what they're expecting or what kind of detecting you want to do. I'm not out there trying to make $1 billion and try to sell them the most expensive machine. You don't need the most expensive machine to do good. You want to find out, do they want a waterproof metal detector? Do they want a land detector? What their budget is, and you can do good with any metal detector out there. You don't need $1,000 machine.
Right.
It does help. If you got a better machine, you can customize the profiles. You can get a little bit deeper. But you don't need $1,000 metal detector, to start off with
to find good stuff. I can attest to it.
It's location.
I don't have $1,000 detector.
Research. So yeah, to be an ambassador, it's important. It's an honor. It for sure is an honor.
Everybody that detects is an ambassador to the hobby.
That's right.
Whether you want to be or not, you are.
Yeah,
that's right. You're leaving your mark, and it's very important.
Your image of whatever it is you're doing, whatever practice you have.
That's right.
Has an impact.
But it all goes back to ethics again.
Yep.
How you leave when you leave is leaving an impression on what detectorists are all about.
Right.
You get somebody walk in the park that doesn't detect and just sees dirt holes. Well, of course they're going to call the police. They're going to complain. They're going to write to the city or whatever. And it doesn't take much to get a park shut down for detecting. Believe me.
It doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Okay. Tom and Mark, how did you meet Ray?
I met Ray on MMD. He wanted to request to be a member, and I brought him in, and then we started talking a little bit, private messaging, and then we shared a couple of events together, and Ray's a really good guy. He's a respectful guy, trustworthy, very knowledgeable when it comes to machines and what he knows his stuff.
Yeah. How about you, Mark?
I met Ray online, and then Ray sells merchandise for our club at some of our outings, and that's how I finally met him in person, was through that.
Let's see.
But can I get back to one item for one moment?
Okay.
We were talking about the code of ethics. Is in some of these pristine parks, you got to use common sense. You don't want to go to a park with a shovel. You'll look like part of the. I'm sorry, at pristine park, you'll look like part of the ground crew. And use common sense. Use a hand digger in some of these parks. If you have to.
Yeah, because bigger shot, it's intimidating.
Right.
And that is why I like the little short T-handle shovels. I always hold mine right up to my leg, and I use it like a cane when I'm walking with the other, my left hand, my right hand detector. I don't make it like visible for everybody to see.
Right.
I try not to. The one thing I do when I metal detect is I don't want to stand out. And I've been hunting Detroit by myself for, since the beginning, for 5-6 years, going out to Detroit in areas that other people would be like, you are out of your mind, but in by myself. But I was extremely careful. I always, and I wasn't so much afraid of people as I was stray dogs. That, safety, your safety, out metal detecting is a number one, you know,
Mhm.
and some guys carry, some guy, again, I did for a short time. And then I realized that's probably not a good idea.
Mhm.
Because all it takes is somebody to say, hey, there's some nuthead walking down the boulevard carrying a gun.
Right.
And you got the whole Detroit Police Department, with guns on you. So
Right.
I stopped carrying and
Mhm.
never had an issue. But again, going back to the shovels, and like Mark was saying, big shovels are very intimidating to
Mhm.
other people, and
Yes.
you have to think about other people when you're detecting.
And those other people, we mean non-detectorists.
Right. Anybody. They're kids playing in the park with their parent, whatever it be. You don't want to be a threat to them. You don't
Right.
want to bring your attention to them. And just do your thing quietly and peacefully and neatfully as you can. And that's why when I used to go to parks, you guys, I would go out early in the morning before, usually anyway, right at the crack of daylight, and usually by yourself. You don't have to worry about. And once it starts warming up, people start coming in. I get up and I leave. I
Mhm.
just so I can continue hunting that park without any provocations.
Mhm.
So that's kind of like what I did. That's
Right.
and then during the
Right.
day I would go in my car and I would drive around and knock on doors, get permissions,
Mhm.
and I would do permissions. So
Right.
now I can't go out for more than an hour, and my back is killing me, and I'm tired, and I got to
Yeah.
go back home, and so
Yeah.
yeah. But those were the good old days.
Ray, this question, I'll start with you. Let's see, where is it? What do you think caused this surge of people? I mean, metal detecting has taken the world by storm since
It has
2018, I think it took off.
100% has.
What do you think it caused this?
Well, there's three major, I would call it, aspects of the surge.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, television shows. Oak Island. There's a ton of treasure shows. Even 5-6 years ago, there was American Diggers. There was a show called Diggers. There's a ton of them on TV. Especially
Diggers was a huge one, with
right,
Rainey,
especially on the History Channel, and people saw this, and it sparked interest. They didn't go and buy a metal detector then, but it sparked interest. It showed people what you could find in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Then came coronavirus.
That was a huge
COVID.
part of it. Yep.
People wanted to get outside. People wanted something to do with by yourself. You didn't have to do it with a group. They wanted something active to do. So they reverted back to that television show they saw. Hey, I could go metal detecting. You're not with a group of people, and you get outside and you get some exercise. Not only that, it was definitely the stimulus checks people were getting. People got $800 in the mail. They want a new metal detector. They want to buy a metal detector. They want to buy something they want to get into a hobby. And either it was metal detecting, or it was or kayaking, or anything outdoorsy, like even camping or fishing. People use that money to spend it on a new hobby, and a lot of people came to metal detecting, and I learned that firsthand since I'm an authorized dealer, so I got to see, I saw the influx of people wanting to get into it. So those are the major things that made metal detecting so much popular, or built it up to this day.
And word of mouth.
Word of mouth for sure. And even social media too, like Facebook. You have a friends list, and you post you're a metal detectorist, and your friends aren't a metal detectorist. They see a post that you post a coin that you found, and they get interest. And they're like, "How did you find that?" And you tell them, I'm a metal detectorist, and it spreads from there. YouTube, all that kind of social media.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you think, Mark?
I'm along with Ray. I mean, it's social media, it's Facebook, it's then you might recommend to your friend, go watch the Hoover Boys as an example. Go watch this. Go watch Quarter Horror. Go watch Deej.
Right.
I mean, there's so many YouTube channels out there.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's been, that's the way. I mean, there's just been a plethora, an explosion of people between Facebook and YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really add any more than what Tom and Ray have said. I mean,
Right.
Well, when we were all quarantined, right? Um, Michigan metal detecting blew up with new members. I mean, every day there was at least 20 people, new people that wanted to join the group because they were interested in metal detecting.
Right.
And this went on for months,
Right.
But just like Ray said, the stimulus check gave them something to spend the money on, gave them an excuse to spend it, and do something as a hobby. They could still go out and enjoy themselves without bothering anybody else. And and it takes your mind off this whole, whole depression
it's an
thing,
escape.
right? And but
Stress reliever.
I have to say that during this whole isolation thing is really what made it really. I mean, 2018 it started, and people were trickling in, but by the end of 2019, when the virus hit,
Yeah.
it was just insane. I mean, we couldn't keep up with all the people that wanted to come in.
Right.
It was ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Ray, this has to do with you. Let's see. What I look for in a dealer, what I prefer myself is a knowledgeable dealer whose recommendations of equipment are driven by what is the best detector for you, based on your experience in the hobby and your preferred areas and type of detecting. Ray fits this bill. He keeps up with all the newest technology. If you have a question about a machine you purchased from him, he can help you with that. I mean, he's not one of these dealers that sells you something and then he's not there to ask questions. That's not him. Ray, what's a typical interaction between you and somebody thinking about getting a metal detector, or a parent thinking about getting a detector for their children?
So what I like about, like, I can see, I'm an authorized dealer. But like I said, first and foremost, I'm a detectorist and I'm a friend, and I want to, I want to get to know you. I'm not trying to sell you a machine. I'm not a businessman whatsoever. I'm just a guy that likes metal detecting, and I'm excited about it, and I want you to get excited about it because it's a great hobby. It's like the best hobby in the world. It's therapeutic. So all my sales, it's always one-on-one with somebody. I have a website. Yes, people, to become an authorized dealer, you do have to have a website. That's it's a stipulation in becoming an authorized dealer for manufacturers. But I maybe get 1 or 2 sales off my website. It's more messaging people. Like, they message me and I talk to them one-on-one. Every single sale, I get to know the person. I get to talk to the people. I get to learn what they want to get out of metal detecting.
Mm-hmm.
And I form a relationship with them. It's awesome because they become my friend. I get to help them out, and it's like a camaraderie. It's a great feeling. And another cool thing is, like I said, I make this friendship, and sometimes I go out with these guys, or these ladies, and I get a permission here and there, and it just works. It's all, it's a full circle. So like when somebody wants a machine, like I said, the first thing I want to know what they're looking to get out of it, what they want.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know their budget. I want to know what kind of detecting they want to do, if they're interested in getting in the water, or if they want to just stay on land. And from there, I match them with the best machine for their budget. And just me knowing
that they'll be able to understand. Yep.
Right. And knowing each machine out there and the technology that's behind that machine, it's nice to explain to these people looking to get into the hobby, like what some of this technology does. Like, especially nowadays with simultaneous multi-frequency machines coming out, like what, like most of the manufacturers jumping on board, and people don't really understand how metal detectors work.
Mm-hmm.
But to get to explain how it runs on frequencies, and then how some of these machines now have simultaneous multi-frequency, which helps in finding, more quality targets.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice to be able to explain that to people. But yeah, it's cool. It's a personal experience. I want to get to know everybody I sell a detector to. That's what I want. I don't want people to go on my website and buy a machine. I want to talk to you one-on-one.
And Ray is an authorized dealer for all machines and Technetics, of course, First Texas products as well. What else do you offer the detecting community in Michigan? And by this, I'm going to rattle off a couple of things and then I'll let you elaborate, okay? Traveling to you travel to meet different clubs in the state of Michigan. You have a yearly event. You give guidance on machines and accessories. He can refer you to local clubs in Michigan. Just as well as, you know, Tom and Mark. They can refer you to clubs if you're too far away from theirs. They all three of these guys can refer you to events in Michigan. And they all promote the metal detecting code of ethics. So this kind of pertains mostly to all of you guys. Do you want to elaborate on any of that? Anybody?
Yeah, I guess I'll start. I love events. I do. It's not only just finding stuff, but getting to meet the people that, you know, you meet on Facebook, but to see them face to face and get to interact with them. Mm-hmm. I love. It's cool because seated hunts are really, really super fun. They are. You wouldn't think that finding planted coins in the ground would be any fun because, you know, you're a treasure hunter. You want to find the natural stuff.
Right.
But it's all still the same thrill.
When it comes to silver, man,
exactly.
They don't care when it comes to silver.
For sure. It's fun. It's super duper fun. It's easy. Anybody can do it. It's great for families. It's great for elderly. It's great for even handicapped. It's just a great thing to get out there with people that, you know, like I said, that you meet on Facebook, or whatever, and get to talk to them in person. It's
to meet them. Yeah.
Yes, and that's why I love putting on events myself. You know,
okay. Lisa P is still in the chat. She said, "Not everyone has Facebook. Ever think of it on YouTube?" I'm not sure what you mean, Lisa. If you could elaborate in the chat, and I'll watch for it. Lisa P. Are any of you guys on Instagram?
I am, but I don't use it as much as Facebook. It just seems like it's more user friendly, and I get to actually find out. I get to interact with my customer a little bit easier through Facebook. It's more, like I said, user friendly.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Let me put this.
I mean, I was told I was on Instagram, but the reason I was told because somebody like, wow, you have a lot of followers on Instagram. I'm like, what is it? I'm like, I'm not on Instagram. What? And he showed it, and there was me.
Yeah,
in a couple
but
of my videos.
There's a check mark box on Facebook. When you post, you can also post to Instagram.
Okay.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
I don't do it. I do it separately, but
I had no idea.
Alley Cat Treasures has a question. Deej, please pass on my prayers to Tom. I suppose he can't see the chat. Probably not. So, all right. Let's see. Where are we at now? Do you have any plans for the future, Ray?
Oh, yeah. I did that big Michigan Megalo hunt last year. It took a lot out of me. It took a lot of planning.
They're a lot of work, man.
They are a lot of work.
A lot of work.
They are. So I think this year I'm going to still do some events. I'm going to sit back a little bit more. I'm going to try to do maybe a Megalo hunt maybe every other year because they're exhausting. But I actually want to get out there and help other clubs like Detect Michigan. Casey Ewers is actually doing a bigger hunt this year that I'm going to help out with.
Right.
I actually went to a great hunt last year. It was at the LDMA, which is a Lost Dutchman Mining Association. Mm-hmm. It's a gold mining camp that's actually based in Michigan that they actually find gold out of, but no big nuggets or anything. They're flakes, but still, they find gold out of this camp. And what's cool is it's a campground, and the person that ran it, he actually invited me out to do a metal detecting event, and it turned out really well. So he wanted to do one himself, which was a weekend camp out trip, which was super duper cool. It was in the late fall last year. And it turned out awesome. It was in a historic area. It was in Athens, Michigan, and right across the street from the campground were these old historical homes. So you know that the area all around it was it's all historical. So we were able not only to do a seated hunt, but we were able to do a natural find hunt on this huge property they had. And guys, one guy found actually a tomahawk, a Native American tomahawk, a later version because it was made out of metal, but it was the sweetest thing I've ever seen pull out of the ground. I've never found a tomahawk, and this thing was awesome. So it's like, so what happened was that a new owner came through. Somebody bought the campground, but he came up to me and said, "Hey, I like what you're doing here. I want to continue this metal detecting event." I'm like, "That's cool, man," because a camp out's cool. To have a 3-day event, it's really cool because not only are you detecting, you're camping out with your friends. You're cooking food. It's more than just metal detecting.
Right.
You get 3 days of it in case one day it rains, in case one day you just want to chill. But I think I want to do that at the late fall. I'm going to look into it more. I'm going to contact the owner of the campground, and I'm gonna do that a little bit more because it was just a cool laid back experience for sure.
Right. What about you, Mark? What are your plans and goals for the year?
More silver.
Silver.
But no, now that I'm not going to be the president anymore after this month coming up, I'm still going to be a member of the club, but there's less pressure, and I'm looking forward to getting out detecting a little bit more, instead of having to, being with the rigmarole and whatnot, And Ray, I want to touch on this.
Sure.
Michigan Treasure Hunters has our autumn weekend hunt, which is 3-day.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, they never tell you where you're going to hunt.
Right.
It's an approximate, But
they're all permissions, and they're like old Cub Scout camps or Girl Scout camps or whatever. And it's all indoor, indoor sleeping and eating and
Well, that's cool.
And Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the price around $130 for the whole weekend?
I think the last time I went a couple years ago, it was like $85. But with everything the way it is now.
Yeah.
It's no more than $150.
But they feed you, they have cards. It's a good time.
Right. Yeah, it is a good time, and it's all wild hunt,
Right.
And I've been to a couple that we all do really well with, finding Indians and V-nickels and barbers and whatnot. And it's just a lot of fun, bringing that kind of history out.
Right.
Yeah. Really neat. Yeah.
What goals do you have, Tom?
Well, get out of the hospital for one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And stay out. But anyway, I want to get out more. I'm looking forward to putting together a spring seeded hunt this year, and try to get with all these new people now. I'm sure and then have Ray out, like we do every year, and have the seeded hunt, and then we're gonna shoot for a fall picnic this year. Like I said, with COVID and everything, Chris just moved. Had to sell his old house, buy another house. He had a lot going on because he deals with the picnics. It just wasn't a good time. So we did put it off this past September for good reason. But we're looking forward to doing it again, in 2022. So, and I'm going to try to get out more. I'm going to try to finish my book. I'm going to try to get that put together and get that rolling. I know a lot of people are anxious for it, so we'll see. Cool. Got a lot going on.
Okay. There's a question in the chat for Ray. Let me back up. Ask Ray. Whoops, it just jumped. Come on. Ask Ray if he's got any updated info on the Nokta legend.
Ooh, I do actually. I know everybody's anticipating it. That and the Deus too. Those two machines, they look awesome. They're so far, we've been dealing with the Equinox, which is one of my favorite machines out right now. But I'm excited to see what these two new guys come and what they have to offer.
Deus too. No kidding.
Yes.
Yeah.
But with the legend, I just got an email maybe last week from Nokta Macro saying that they got the field test results back from the field testers, and they have to do a couple tweaks to the machines. So before they are released to the public, they're actually on pre-order right now. But before they release it to the public, they want to make sure they get everything to a T. They want to make sure everything's right. So
Of course.
they make some tweaks to the programming. But it should be, I'm thinking the end of this month, they should start shipping them.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a highly anticipated metal detector. And
I wonder if the Deus 2 is going to be a little bit more coin friendly.
the Deus 2 is actually, yes, it's now simultaneous multi-frequency. It's waterproof up to 66 feet. And I think they are good. I think they might be a coin mode, or they did make some tweaks to it, but I'm excited for the Deus 2 myself. Just the Deus 1 is a beast. It's a good relic machine.
It's one of the, it's like anything. Okay. You got to learn it. And
Right.
like the E-Track, it's a multi-frequency machine, and you just got to know. But once you do know, it's unstoppable. I mean,
Sure.
you could go through parks that are just a salad of garbage and get through all that and pick out the old stuff, the deep stuff, the good stuff. And the Deus is what the thing is that what I understand is that, because it's made overseas, it was tuned in for that kind of, their types of metals that they use in their coins and whatnot. And not so much US friendly. I mean, people that detect 99% of them were coin hunters, right, Mark? Mark's the ringmaster. He kills the rings every time he goes out. He finds one or two rings, but you got to. I mean, like I said, I'm curious about the Deus 2 because when the first Deus came out, I've seen a lot of, and I've heard a lot of people that purchased the machines, and after a few months, they're just throwing their hands up and it's up for sale,
Wow.
Yeah, it's you got to have the patience to, if you're going to spend $1,000, $2,000 on a machine, you got to expect it's going to be a little tough, and you got to learn it. It's like a sophisticated computer, You got to learn what programs are on there and how to use those programs and what they mean and everything.
Right.
It took me, a year straight. I mean, literally a solid year of detecting every single day, every day with that E-Track for me to be able to learn the E-Track.
Yeah, it took me a year to learn my Technetics T2 Plus.
But once you learn it, like now, my screen is still scratched up anyway. I don't even need to look at the screen. I just, from what I hear, and that's it. I could tell you what's in the ground just by what I'm hearing, So the Deus 2, I'm curious to see what kind of reaction that's going to get.
Right. Okay. Let's see. This could work for all of you guys. Do you agree? This is my opinion on something. An important thing for parents to remember that are buying metal detectors for their kids is they need to learn how to do it also.
Oh, of course.
It's better if the parent learns as well.
Well, who's the kid going to go to, to ask questions?
Because, for instance, where's my metal detecting? Okay, the metal detecting code of ethics is as follows. I will always check federal, state, county, and local laws before searching. It is my responsibility to know the law. I will respect private property and will not enter private property without the owner's permission. I will take care to refill all holes and try not to leave any damage and practice leave no trace. I will remove and dispose of any and all trash and litter that I find. I will appreciate and protect our inheritance of natural resources, wildlife, and private property. I will, as an ambassador for the hobby, use thoughtfulness, consideration, and courtesy at all times. Okay, so knowing that, go back to my question was, it's up to the parent to teach their child that, or a club to teach the parent and the child that, or the dealer.
100%.
Because they need to learn how to research the areas If you go to a club or you talk to your dealer, they can tell you areas that it is allowed to metal detect that they know of. But the ones they don't know of, you still have to go online and check for yourself or make some phone calls.
Everything is about research. Everything.
Yes, everything.
No matter where you go, it's research.
Yep.
And
take your child to these areas.
right.
Take the time and take them out to these areas because they're going to get tired of their backyard after a while.
That's right.
Teach your child the metal detecting code of ethics.
That's right.
Now, Mark, Ray, and Tom, are you seeing a reduction in the public places that metal detecting is allowed, and why do you think this is happening?
No, not yet. Not where I go. I see it in other places. I hear about it from other people, and it's simply because of ethics. It's either somebody went into a park that was pristine or whatever and tore it up, right? Didn't do something right, and all it takes is one or two people to complain, and go to a city hall meeting, and bring it up. Say, hey, look, so and so's been tearing metal detecting or doing something in this park. They're tearing it up. Here's pictures. I post that we banned metal detecting, and they could say, okay, pass,
And boom.
and they make a sign up and they stick it in the ground. That's it. No more metal detecting for that park.
Right.
Like I said that earlier, it does not take much. It doesn't take, somebody walking around with a petition, signing 1,000 names to get a park, taken away from you. It just takes one or two people that are very persistent, and that's all it takes. So, and to bring up this whole ethics thing also, it goes deeper than just, cleaning, but, make sure people will go out when it's raining, after it's the parks are just soaking wet or whatever, and you dig a hole and you got 6 inches of water in the plug after you only go a few inches deep, and then you go to put that plug back on top, the plug just going to float right back up on top again. And then when it dries out, you've got this crater. So, you got it. Just wait for the conditions to be right. Guys are going out there diehards, and I'm guilty of it because I did it when I started metal detecting, looking for ground that isn't frozen. But understand that when I did dig a hole, I made sure the ground wasn't frozen and that it went back the way it's supposed to.
Right.
I've also had, literally, I've gone out and hunted parks and then go out the next day, next morning, and enter that park and find some of my plugs turned up. And Deej, I brought this up to you.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, you guys may think I'm crazy, but it's true. Raccoons and possums and whatever else critters are out there, rodents looking for white grubs, they somehow sense and that ground space, and they will take their paws and pull that plug out and go down and eat their grubs and move on. And then it leaves you looking like you just left the park a mess.
Right.
Now, this is something we cannot control. I mean, you can't walk around and put a boulder over every plug you dig.
Right.
It's going to happen, but it's going to happen. And I'm sure some of you, it's already happened too. I'm not the only one that witnessed this. I know that. But I've literally personally watched it happen. I watched a raccoon come at one of my plugs when I was out metal detecting from a distance, and it flipped my plug up over and it started sniffing around for those grubs or whatever. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me, So anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to go off track, but
that's all right.
That's the kind of stuff that happens.
That's all right. I had an instance where, this one township that I detect parks in sometimes, they know me. They know that I don't pose a problem. Well, I went in there one day and one of them come up to me and he goes, so when did you stop filling your holes? I said, what are you talking about? I practice leave no trace. I do not leave holes open, not even by accident. Not me. Takes me over to this hole that is like underneath the chain link fence, facing outward. It's a groundhog.
Groundhog, yeah.
I said,
Yep.
dude, that's not a detecting hole. Detecting holes go down.
Yeah.
They don't go
sideways
diagonal.
like that. Yeah.
I
You
said,
know,
this is a critter hole.
I was out metal detecting once in this area, and it was just filled with, groundhogs just had lifted up the dirt everywhere. And I was kind of like and this is this true story. And I was just kind of kicking, kind of like walking, stomping it back down and whatever. And I looked down, and there I see this rim of this silt, and I reached down and I pulled out a merc that the groundhog had lifted up when he was going through, and brought it right up to the surface.
Oh my gosh!
So I just picked it up. Oh, sweet, put it in my pocket.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
It happens.
But now, Mark, you mentioned something about reading an article in a paper.
Oh, yeah, it was in
and
the
then responding to it.
Yeah, it was the Bay Mill Indians. Tom, what do you want to call them? Nighthawkers?
The what now? What?
The Nighthawkers. People that go into cemeteries during the night.
Oh, yeah. That's bad karma.
Yeah, in the Bay Mills area, their burial grounds were turned over.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
Right on top of the graves.
That's a federal crime.
And it made it into the paper.
Well,
yeah, I'm sure it did.
Is it because the Indians, don't they have their own jurisdiction?
Well, if it's federal land, which it could be, it's a federal crime. But if, especially anytime, a graveyard's one thing. I mean, that's bad juju anyway, right? But when you get into Native American ground and burial grounds, that I'd stay as far away from that as I could.
Yeah,
Leaving
mounds and it's posted at the Bay Mills Indian burial grounds. No metal allowed.
Well, yeah, as it should be.
To the Detroit Free Press,
but as it should be.
And me and Bob now called the Free Press, the writer, and I end up calling the historian. And apologized.
Yeah, that's bad. That's just bad juju. That's
right.
That's voodoo. Right. That's bad. Bad things come to people that do things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, for real, that's bad.
Now, I have detected around the outer edge of a stone wall around a cemetery for a historical society and the church.
That's all right.
But I would never go in.
No, you don't want to go in.
No, absolutely not.
And I've done the same. I mean, I found Deej again. I told you about that, but there was once a schoolhouse / church, and also town hall. It was all one building, but they always used it. Back then, they used it at the same building for church, for school, for town hall, kind of like a Little House on the Prairie.
Right.
Anyway, it was torn down, and it was built in the 1830s, which is really early for Michigan to have any building in the 1830s. And it was torn down in 1851 or something, or 1951. But there's a graveyard, but there's a steel metal fence that runs all the way around the graveyard. And I was obviously on the other side of the fence where the schoolhouse was, or church, and kind of metal detected along the edge of the fence.
Right.
That's as close as I've gotten to any kind of like graveyard or whatever.
Right.
Well, Tom, you know that golf courses are off limits too.
Yeah, they
right.
Yeah, some are. Unless you get permission. Right.
Ray, have you run into anything that you've heard about like that?
I gotta charge my phone.
What? In regards to what?
In regards to things that have happened, things that make the news that are not good.
That gives a bad name to metal detectors and metal detecting? Not really. I did see Mark's story about the Nighthawkers, and that really, that was probably the first one I've seen in a while, a story like that. That just it's a shame. Like who would even want to do that? Who would think about that? And it's just ruining it, like for the whole
right.
People aren't going to trust metal detectors anymore.
Right.
If we get bad press, like especially from the Detroit news, people are going to see somebody with a metal detector and be like automatically like, no way, you're not detecting here.
Right. Uh-oh, we lost Mark.
He probably had a bad connection.
Right.
But, even when it comes to like areas or getting kicked out of areas or not being able to detect anymore, I don't see that much of a incline in that. You know, we got a bunch of new detectors coming out, but like Tom was saying, because me and Tom are in the same area, so it's like we got the Detroit, we got Mount Clemens, and even where I'm at in the St. Clair Shores, most of my parks are they're like resident only.
Mm-hmm.
So you actually got to show like your license, and you got to be from the city to go in my park, so they know who you are. If they don't know who you are, you show them how you dig a plug.
Mm-hmm.
You show them that it's going to leave no trace, and they trust you to go into the park and detect. And like I said, I've been detecting my parks for 28 years. So it's like they know who I am, but if it's a new person, you just got to show them. You got to explain to them how it's no trace and how you dig a proper plug, and you don't leave any kind of garbage around, or you don't leave like any kind of mud or dirt, or you make it look nice.
Right.
Okay, you just got to show them it's not invasive. That you,
right.
You do. I mean, and you're literally you're leaving the place cleaner because you're taking out, things that, garbage.
People just toss. Right.
So you're leaving it cleaner, and that's with Michigan Treasure Hunters that Mark's president with, that's their motto. You always leave a place cleaner than when you came in. You always leave it cleaner, and they've always really pressed on that in the club. To take care of your garbage, do this properly. In Michigan Treasure Hunters, it's actually, Mark or Ray, I don't know if you've ever been to one of their meetings.
Oh yeah. Yep.
You have. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's for a local club. It's and being a detectorist, it's huge. It's huge impact. Now I haven't been to a meeting in a little over a year, just because of what I have going on in my life. But I miss it. For sure, 100%. It's a lot of fun. The only thing I don't care for about any club or anything is I'm not what do you call it? I'm not competitive. And that's another big thing we should talk about is competitivity.
Right.
I've lost more friends detecting over jealousy than I want to speak about.
Right.
Right.
Good people that I would go out and hunt with all the time, and then they either don't believe you that you found what you found, or they're you outdid them or whatever.
For those of you who aren't aware, Tom is the Silver King of Michigan. Okay. What's the most silvers that you've dug in 1 year?
531.
531 silvers in 1 year, folks. Okay. Yeah. So that's what he's talking about. As a community of treasure hunters, we need to learn to be happy for others. You got to swing over it to find it, folks.
Don't get over competitive.
Don't get over competitive.
It'll ruin the hobby. It'll ruin the sport. It just, nothing good comes out of it. Ever. Right. Just find what you find and enjoy it, and don't worry about what the next guy's finding.
Right.
I mean, it's great to look at it, when they're done, whatever. But, I mean, I've seen guys like looking over their shoulder every time you bend down to dig a plug, they're thinking, oh, great, he's pulling multiple silvers out. I'm not finding any. It's not like that. It's not what, don't worry about it. Just worry about what's in front of you and concentrate on yourself.
Yep.
So
it'll end up ruining your day.
Let it.
Yep.
Tom, do you need to take a break and let your wrist take a break holding the phone?
Well, I just plugged my charger in and I had to take my earbuds out.
Okay.
And the sound on this is really breaking up and kind of crappy, but I'm all right. I'll continue.
Okay. All right. Just let me know if you need to take a break. Okay.
I'm fine. Thank you.
So what we all want to emphasize is, whether you realize it or not, you are an ambassador to the hobby. Your choices do matter. And they represent the hobby as a whole, whether you want them to or not. It's just we're all grouped together. Different poor practices making a negative impact on our being able to metal detect public places is a reality, and we're seeing it happen in other countries. I'm seeing it happen in other states. I haven't seen it a whole lot around Michigan yet. So we need to do everything we can to boost up our hobby, encourage others of the right way to do things. So, like, if you see somebody, I wrote down a note here. If you see somebody doing something they shouldn't be doing, don't automatically assume that they'd made that choice. Maybe they didn't know better. Introduce yourself, and talk to them a little bit. Are you a member of a club? Did you just start, and they'll say, oh, I just started detecting. Well, can I make some suggestions? Don't be hostile to these people.
No.
They may not know any better. Okay?
Right. That's right.
So, let's see. And then if you see somebody breaking the law, make them aware that they have been seen, but don't be rude. And inform them that this area, it's illegal to metal detect in this area. You need to leave. But don't be nasty, because that will reflect bad on the whole community.
That's right.
So we have to protect what rights we have as detectors today. But you can do it in such a way that it's not, what's the word I'm looking for, Tom?
Positive.
Yeah, so in a more positive way. You always need to give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they don't know any better, I
mean, like I said, we were all there. We were all beginners at one point.
Right.
That we didn't, we thought we knew everything, but far from it,
Right. Okay, you guys. What advice do each of you have for a beginner detectorist? And then I'm going to ask you what advice you have for an advanced detectorist next.
All right, I'll start. For a beginner detectorist, metal detecting is, it's confusing at first. You wave the detector over the ground, you're going to hear all types of blips and bleeps, and people just want to dig every piece of metal that they hear. They're super confused because they're hearing dings, they're hearing dots, and they don't know what's going on, and they think every one of those sounds is going to be something good. So what you got to explain to a beginner is you really got to listen to those repeatable signals. Either it's a two-way repeatable signal back and forth that hits good on both dings, unless it's on edge like a coin, or a four-way repeatable signal. Those are the targets that you want to focus on right off the bat. I try to tell people, if it's not a two-way repeatable or four-way repeatable, just skip it and move on. Especially when you're beginning, and I actually tell them to kind of focus towards the high tone repeatables, just for now, just so they learn the machine. Because you get a high tone, it's either going to be a coin or something like aluminum can, but at least they'll start to know their machine, how to pinpoint in on that target. They get to, if your machine has a VDI, they get to learn the numbers. Mm-hmm. I just don't want people just to go digging every single beep out there, because you're going to leave holes all over the place. So that would be my advice to a beginner: just repeatable signals. That's one of your main important things when you start detecting, is a repeatable signal.
Okay. What would be your advice, Tom, for the beginner detector?
One thing my brother taught me, and it was his motto with metal detecting, and it stuck with me and still is now, is old is deep, and deep is old, and old is good. Go after the deeper. If your machine is capable of where you can tell depth, if it has a depth gauge or you can hear the depth, a deep repeatable signal is something you'd want to go after. Beginner, what I had to do, like I said, I went out every day. I've dug, my God, hundreds of dollars in clad. I mean, just clad like you wouldn't believe. But I dug everything 1,000 times until I decided like pop caps and pull tabs and whatever. I knew what. Just stop digging those. Don't dig those signals anymore. Because I got tired of digging them. But the thing is, it's patience. Learning a machine, be patient with it. Watch lots of, watch videos, ask advice on people that have been using the same type of machine you're using. You just by doing that, it could save them, hundreds of hours of figuring it out on their own, literally. And be safe. When you're out there detecting, you want to be safe, because a lot of guys will go out at night, a lot of guys will go out in the evening, or early morning, like myself. And you always want to be aware of your surroundings, and especially where you're hunting. I don't care if it's a park in the middle of Livonia or Bloomfield Hills, or if it's a park out in Detroit. You have to watch yourself, period. So that's one thing that you got. I would tell a beginner is be safe, be patient, learn your machine, and have fun with it. And but the biggest thing would be patience.
Patience.
Right. Like Ray said, somebody turned the machine on for the first time, a new beginner, and just overwhelmed with I would suggest a beginner not to go into a park to begin with, where there's just a salad of every layer of everything in the park, because it's intimidating, and it becomes overwhelming to the point where they're just like, I'm done. I can't figure this out. I can't even hone it. Hunt your backyard. Get a permission. Someplace where it's a little quieter. Go in your front yard and bury a couple pennies and dimes and nickels, and get a feel for what you're listening for, and then keep that in your head and remember that. And then when you're out detecting, those are the same numbers, and it's how you learn, but every beginner is going to dig everything in the get-go. You can't tell them not to. You can tell them not to, but what happens is they have to,
right?
But they're going to have to do that, as long as it's just. But once you learn your machine, as a beginner, it's the most exciting thing ever, and the learning process.
Right.
Oh,
now Nancy
Mark, hang on. Mark just chimed in. He's having problems with his computer.
Okay. All right. So Nancy probably put in the chat a link, an important link online for you to be able to search for places to metal detect, for events coming up, and for clubs. And it's called Metal Detecting Hobby Talk. If she wasn't able to put it in the chat, somewhere in the chat, it'll either be available in the chat after the replay, or I will also, after this is over, put all the links to the sites in the description. Okay. Let's see. One thing that I have started doing is I've been trying to remember to show the junk that I dig in my videos, because so many metal detecting videos on YouTube don't show their junk. So new detectors think that they're not digging junk. Okay. Everybody digs junk. Okay. Don't get frustrated. Everybody digs junk. Some more than others. It depends on how well you know what your machine is trying to tell you.
That's right. It's 100% right. The more you know your machine, the less junk you will dig.
Yes.
There's one thing about old sites. When you get into old sites, not only is there a gazillion bits of iron, but you'll have a ton of tinfoil.
Mhm.
And like on E-Track, I go into two-tone ferrous, which means I'm able to decipher what's iron, and I can if there's anything non-ferrous in there, I can pick it out. Okay.
Right.
But foil comes in non-ferrous too. So you got, I also got to know my numbers. Like
Right.
foil will come in real low, 0.1, 0.2.
Mhm.
But like I said, the more you understand and know your machine, the less junk you're going to dig.
Right.
And that's just a fact. I stopped digging clad a while ago, a couple years ago. I don't dig. I would hear the clad. I just chose not to dig it. Quarters, I would pop out just because, it adds up.
Yeah, it adds up.
But anything, I can. People thought I was, with the machine I'm using, I can decipher even between a wheat penny and a memorial penny, and a silver dime from a clad dime, just because I know my machine that well, and the techniques that I use to do it so is what I use to do so.
Right.
But it works,
Right.
So, but that's kind of like where you want to get when you get to be a detectorist. You want to be able to tell what's in the ground without
Right.
even digging it. You can just say, "Oh, that's a pop top. Oh, that's a memorial penny. Oh, that's."
Now, see, I hunt such old ground.
Yeah, it went down a little bit. What number would you say? Like a 6. Thank you.
Now, the sites that I dig at, the majority of my sites are old farm sites. Okay.
Mhm.
Either the home is still standing or it's just a field now. So, for instance, my home site of tragedy field, if I get a pull tab signal on the T2 Plus, I'm going to dig it because I don't dig pull tabs out there. If I get a foil signal on the T2 Plus and I'm in the middle of a farm field in the middle of the nowhere,
Oh, of course.
I'm going to dig it because
dig
that's
everything.
probably
Anything
going to be
repeatable,
either
yeah.
a toe tap or a suspender clasp.
Yeah, I mean, I've dug.
It's stamped metal will
That's
come up
right.
like foil.
If you're digging an old site where, let's say it's a bean field now, but back in it's back on the 1870 or 1860 plat map, there was an establishment, and by 1917 plat map it was gone. That just tells you how long that built. So you're going to dig everything. You're just gonna go after, whether it's a low tone or, because 99.9% it's going to be old. It's going to be from that time period. Like you said, it's going to be a toe tab. It's going to be a button. It's going to be a piece of rifle or a relic from the house or whatever. Yeah, you dig everything for sure.
Exactly.
100%. Yep.
Exactly. So what are your feelings on this subject, Ray?
What with the we're talking about with field hunting?
We're talking about how much junk everybody digs.
Oh.
People get frustrated when they dig junk when they are new to the hobby.
Right. But again, that's if you want to stop digging a junk, like Tom was saying, you have to learn your machine. It takes time. What's nice about these machines that are coming out, they do have VDI numbers that pop up. That kind of gives you a clue of what you're gonna dig before you dig it.
Right.
But some people don't even go by that,
though.
including myself. I more go for a tone.
No,
I
it's
like
not an
tones.
absolute, but with your depth, you're listening to the depth, you're watching your VDI numbers.
Yeah.
You can almost, when you walk around that and check for repeat, you can almost feel what it is.
Right.
One of my favorite signals of ever is a silver coin on edge.
Yeah.
It just, it thunks and it gives you that high tone at the same time, and it's just like, man,
as soon as you hear it,
it's a coin on edge
or a button on edge, one or the other.
That's right.
Yep. Now I just forgot what I was going to say.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Now I have several videos on my channel that go back. I've been on YouTube, I think 4 years now. For anybody that is thinking about picking up the hobby, that will give you some ideas of public places to check to see if they are available in your area, places to detect, things like that, techniques. I personally, I pound the dickens out of every site I get. I will work on it for years.
Mm-hmm.
I've been at the home site of tragedy 3 years now, and I'm still pulling stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
Try different coils. If you have a high iron concentration where your ground at a house is just infested with nails, try a sniper coil, a smaller coil.
Mm-hmm.
You know, try a bigger coil with deeper depth in your farm fields. You know, especially if you're in an area that does no plow fields. I'm fortunate. My area, my farmers all plow.
Yeah, turn stuff
But,
up every year.
yeah, when I go down to dig with Don Detection Connection in Ohio, the majority of them are no-till.
Yeah.
So when you have that, then you need a coil that will go just a little bit deeper than your stock coil or whatever you have. And that's what I'm liking about the new First Texas coil that's come out for the Fisher and the Bounty Hunter and the Technetics brand.
See, a lot of it, I
it's
think,
getting me that little inch to 2 inches deeper.
Yeah, that makes
than what
a
I
difference.
can get with a stock coil.
Yeah, but I think a lot of it depends on the machine and the stock coil it comes with. Okay, my E-Track, I got the 11-inch coil on it. Ray, you know, I've never used any other coil than that coil, and I've dug everything from parks to farm fields, permissions, and I don't think I've missed much with that. You know, even getting in between the iron with my, because the machine's got two-tone on it, and you could pick. It's an amazing freaking coil. You know, same with the coil with the CTX. You know, it's 11-inch, but it's got that chip in it. And it's you know, it's just super sensitive, and it gets down a little bit deeper, and yeah.
Have you heard anything yet, Ray, from First Texas about the new 12 coil Double D?
I have not actually.
Okay, they should be bringing it out on their website soon.
That should be a good coil.
Yeah.
Oh,
D 12-inch.
It is so light, you guys. Oh my God, and it's like indestructible. It is. It is.
Well, it's like the Equinox.
I've used it on the home site of tragedy. 1 and 2 new permissions before the ground froze.
Yeah.
And I was real happy with it. I prefer it in medium to light iron, but I was still able to use it in heavy iron. I just had to slow down.
Yeah, well, no matter what, you got to slow down in heavy iron. I don't care what you're using. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So, and then once I pounded this one
moment.
I have with that big coil, like for 3 or 4 hunts, then I went back with the 5-inch puck coil with the T2, and then I was pulling more out. So you just keep going back and forth. Once you've hit it with all your coils, go back and hit it with your stock coil again, and you're going to find more stuff.
Every year I go back to places that I've thought I've taken everything out,
because
and I still
ground freezes.
Yeah, every year the ground's constantly moving. You know, so things could turn up, and you know, I had one area that I've hunted, and I pulled literally hundreds of silvers out of the area, and, in a season, and I would go back and think that I don't know, man, there's nothing left. I go back the next spring and start all over again. It's like, holy crap, how did I miss this? Or how did I, it was like this, you know, but it's the way it is.
So please reach out to any of us. Mark, who is unable to get back on, Tom, and Ray, and myself, if you ever have any questions. Oh, what are you back on? And are you on 2 streams now?
Who?
I'm doing it for my internet keeps on going down on the laptop.
Okay.
Oh, the other ones.
For those of you, here's my friend coming back.
Mark's back.
So for those of you,
for how long, I don't know.
Okay. For those of you in Michigan that are looking for a club near you, this is the list that I have, and I will put it in the description after the show is over. There's Michigan Treasure Hunters in Livonia. That's Mark Branton. Michigan Metal Detecting in Livonia. That's Tom.
That's
okay?
A Facebook group.
Facebook group, and they have a Facebook group.
We
There's
are a Facebook group.
Detect Michigan, who's in the chat, Casey. That group is in Lennon. Mid-Michigan Treasure Hunters out of Flint. High Tone Hunters club and group on Facebook. It's run by Joe Palmatier, and that's out of Caledonia over by Grand Rapids. Ken probably has heard of them. Then there's Uper Coin Shooters Metal Detecting Club out of Gladstone. Mid-Michigan Metal Detecting run by Mark Kowalczyk. I believe that's out of Midland, but don't quote me on it. The Bay Area. Wolverine Research and Recovery out of Holland. West Michigan Detector Club.
Yeah, that's John Dudley. He is the president of that club, and they're towards the St. Joseph, Benton Harbor area.
Benton Harbor area, okay. Then there's Southwest Michigan Seek and Search Club out of Plainwell, which is north of Grand Rapids, I think, right? Plainwell?
Can you put me in the back room for a minute?
Yep, I can. Hold on a minute.
All right, thanks.
There's Heart Treasures run by Jim Bedron. That's like the Muskegon area. Ken,
Correct.
have you heard of that one? Northeast Huron Detectors Club out of Huron, Michigan. And Dirt, Detectors in Recovery of Treasure in Midland. So that's the list I have. If you have a club that wasn't mentioned, please don't be offended. Just let me know in the comments after the live stream so I can add you. So as you probably already figured out, Audra and Bobby of Jersey History Hunter canceled for tonight. Audra's not feeling well. She's been in the chat. Ed, Jesse, Dano, and Rose of Flash in Your Pan will be on at 8 o'clock. And their guest tonight is Andy Thrax Mining and Canadian Gold Mining. Bill Paparoos, What's in the Dirt, will be on with his live stream tonight. 6 o'clock West Coast, 8 o'clock Central, and 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So anyone who won a token or a giveaway in the month of December, as I told you, I was waiting until after the holiday mailing rush to mail your prizes. So they will be mailed out this week, so you can start watching for them. Ken says there is Muskegon Metal Detecting Facebook group and West Michigan Metal Detecting Facebook group. Okay. Yes, I know Audra's in the chat. JHH is live. She texted me and told me she was canceling. What in the world? Oh my goodness. Oh, Joe Palomatier is in here. Woo!
Joe.
Joe's in the
my
chat.
boy.
Says thanks for the shout out. Anyone more following High Tone Hunters on Facebook, come over and check us out. Oh, Bobby is running it. Well, Audra didn't tell me that. She just texted me this morning and said she was canceling. So anyhow, I should probably cut this short then. So let's see. I wanted to tell you that I want to thank everybody, all my mods, for helping tonight. Is he back? I want to thank you guys for allowing me to interview you. I hope you had a good time. This being your first interview. Oh, Tom's back. And I hope today's live stream was helpful to everybody and was able to answer questions. If not, you can contact any of us. The links will be in the description by tomorrow morning, I would say, by the time the replay is available to show chat and that. Thank you very much, Ray, for being a guest, as well as thank you, Mark and Tom, for being guests on the show.
Well, thank you for having
This
me.
helps our clubs and my dealer, as well as, the channel. But like I said, don't be afraid to go out and have a good time. Just be aware that it's a learning process. We're all learning. And what you do, the image of what you're doing counts. It means a lot when it comes to representing metal detecting as a group. And thank you, everybody, for coming. I hate to rush off, but I did not know that Bobby was going to go ahead and have the live stream. Nobody told me. So thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thank you, Deej.
It will be part 2 of my rock hunting video this Friday. Do you guys have any last words?
Just be safe out there.
No?
Can I give a shout out to my friends?
Yes.
Okay, Scott Hunt and Nathan Willock. They're my hunting buddies.
Okay.
Thank you guys.
Okay. What about you, Ray?
I just want to wish everybody a good 2022 with lots of treasure and silver coming out of those holes, and I can't wait to see what you guys pull. I want to see lots of pictures on Facebook.
Yep. Well, thank you very much, everybody. I'm going to put you guys in the back. If you want to hang out for a few minutes till I say my goodbyes, I appreciate it, okay?
Sure.
All right. I'm going to put you in the back room.
Okay.
So I hope you guys all enjoyed the show. Thank you so much for sticking with me. I hope you liked the intro. It took me a while to get that one. I'm learning bit by bit. Practice makes perfect. But for those of you that have good enough weather that you can dig, get out there and find some treasure. For those of you that can't, take this time to start researching the areas you want to hunt next. Take this time to go through your trash, because your trash may not all be trash. There may be treasure hidden in that trash. So before you go and scrap it out, you better double check. So thank you all for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. And I'll see you soon. Bye.